A while ago, I non-stop played Gekko during the Gekko to Ascendant series. During this time, I learned a lot about this agent, and in this Gekko guide, I'll share everything I learned. I'll start with the abilities, then I go to combos, playstyle, and in the end, I will answer the question, is Gekko a good agent to rank up with? Now sit back, relax, and enjoy, my friends. Let's start off simple with the abilities, and let's begin with this yellow blob over here, his wingman. This is the most iconic Gekko ability. With the wingman, you can plant and defuse the spike, of course. And here's immediately the biggest tip I can give you with Gekko. On the attacking side, if you use your wingman to plant the spike, it's important to follow it and defend it with your life. If you don't do that, then the enemies can just shoot on it and then suddenly the spike is in the middle of the site and it's very hard to get for your team. While on the other hand, if you push together with your wingman, the enemies might get distracted and you can get a nice kill while they are shooting on your wingman, like in this clip. And the same idea if you're using your yellow blob to defuse the spike. In this round it was a 1 versus 3, my wingman was defusing and the first threat was chamber. Instead of hiding a little bit and letting him defuse, I decided to rush chamber and that's how I won this 1v3.
Player standing.
One behind side.
Somebody's there.
Oh, wow. I got him.
Besides planting and defusing, the wingman can of course also stun the enemies. And here's a mistake that a lot of newer Gekko players are making. A mindset that a lot of Gekko players are having is that they should save the wingman for defusing or planting the spike. And they are kinda right. Defusing and planting with the wingman is very overpowered. But here's the thing, if you use your wingman, you can always pick it up again. And this is an aspect that a lot of players will forget in the middle of a battle. So remember, if you're pushing lamps anyway and you think there might be an enemy over there, just use your wingman and pick it up again.
One enemy remaining.
Hey, wingman OP.
Let's move on to the second ability, the Gekko Flash. Just like the yellow blob, the blue blob can also be picked up after being used. So what a lot of Gekko players would do is this. First, find a spot close to the barriers, and when they go down, use your flash straight up. It might spot enemies for some info, and then it falls back so you can pick it up again. A very nice tricky to get some early info, but if you are feeling risky, then of course you can also peek behind it. And getting info is actually a very important aspect of the Gekko Flash. This ability is not like other flashes where you purely use the flash to blind the enemies, but if you use this ability high in the sky, it will shoot exactly to the spots where the enemies are standing. And when you're gonna play Gekko, you're gonna notice that this information is usually way more important than just blinding the enemies. Take this round for example. I had no idea that Omen was on the left over there, so luckily that my flash spotted him, otherwise I probably wouldn't have checked it.
Where?
It's close.
And one more just to emphasize how good the information is.
Dizzy has targets. Ready.
Let's move on to the C ability of Gekko, the Mosh Pit! Yeah, this ability is called Mosh Pit. Don't ask me why. Here's what you have to know about this ability. First of all, the trajectory of the Mosh Pit is exactly the same as the Killjoy Nanoswarm and the KO Molly. So if you're lazy and you know the KJ or KO lineups, you can use exactly those lineups.
Last player standing. One enemy.
Oh, wait, I said when you're lazy, there's a big but. The Mosh Pit is way bigger than the Nanoswarms and the Mollies. This means that if you have a Molly lineup that ends up like this, the Mosh Pit will also land like this. Is it effective? Yes, it is effective. But could it be more optimized? Yes. Instead of landing over here, it's better if the Mosh Pit lands over here. This way it's harder for the enemies to run out of it. So again, if you're lazy, you could use the same lineups as KJ and KO. But in reality, if you want to be optimized, you should tweak the lineups a little bit. And for the rest, this ability you just used in exactly the same way as the typical Molotov, in the post plant to stop pushes or to get people out of corners.
One enemy remaining.
Not today.
Let's move on to the Gekko ultimate, is Fishy. In my opinion, the Gekko ultimate is one of the hardest ultimates to use effectively. If you make a small mistake, for example you think that your teammate's sky is the enemy sky, then you can completely throw around like I did over here.
Miss ours.
On the bot. Sorry. Oh my god. I'm so bad, sorry. That's my bad.
But no worries, if you know how to use it, you can get a lot of kills with this ability and I'll show you how. Tip number 1, a mistake that a lot of Gekko players are making is using their ultimate towards the enemies going very deep, and because they go so deep, it's impossible for them to get to the enemies. This is bad for multiple reasons. The first one, it's very hard to take back your ultimate when it's down. And the second reason, if you decide to rush to the enemies, then they will not be stunned by the time you get there and something like this might happen.
You countered it away, dude.
Sage's
I got him.
One enemy remaining. Last
Oh, he's
player
done
standing.
already.
So instead, what I recommend, if you don't see any enemies, just go back towards yourself, pick it up and use it again later that round. Another important tip is that you should be using your ultimate in combination with your teammates. A bit like the Skydog. So don't use your ultimate when you're all by yourself in the hope to get a kill, but say to your teammates that you're gonna use your ultimate, let them follow it and make kills together, like in this clip.
Beam! I got him. Nice.
And as you noticed, I didn't go too far with my ultimate, so I could simply pick it up again and use it again in the same round.
He's low, he's low.
Aye, nice.
And those were the abilities. Now, before we go to the playstyle on the attacker and the defender side, let's first talk about combos. If you want to pick up Gekko, it's important to know some ability combos. Here are a few examples that won me a lot of rounds. If you use your ultimate and you notice that you can't get to the enemies because it's too dangerous, instead of pushing and trying it anyway, use your mosh pit. Because the mosh pit is so big, there's actually a pretty high chance that the enemies will stand in it while stunned, and then you get an easy kill. When your wingman is planting and you know for sure that the enemies can't destroy it, because you know that they are on a different spot or your teammates are on site, try to pick up the ultimate orb. You have to do something, right? And if your wingman is planting plus you get the ultimate orb, you get 2 points in 1 round. Very handy for the post plant. Just make sure that you use your ult in time.
Oh, what? Oh, I thought I killed the plant.
Gekko's ultimate is very strong in combination with Brimstone. First of all, the stim beacon can boost the Gekko ult. And second of all, if you stun enemies, Brimstone can use his ultimate on that spot and you get 3 kills.
I got him! I got him. Ulted. Yeah! Oh, you got one.
So if you play duo queue, ask your friend if he can play Brimstone. And the last combo is for the post plant. Make sure to first do your mosh pit lineup and after that do your ultimate. And the cool thing, if you are too early with your ultimate, you can just camp on the spike. You don't have to rush forward and this will waste the time of the enemies, just like in this round.
One enemy remaining.
Haha, lol.
Now let's move on and talk about the playstyle of Gekko. Let's first talk about the attacking side. As you probably already knew, Gekko is an initiator. So the main role of Gekko is to assist your teammates getting onto a site. And this is exactly how you should play this agent. Don't push in first, but stay a bit on the back and use your flash over walls to assist your teammates, like this.
Yeah.
And once they get a little control over site, that's your cue that you gotta push and plant the spike with your wingman. It's important that you stay alive, so don't try to push in first. Why is it important that you stay alive? Well, the Gekko post plant is very strong, mainly because of his ultimate, flash, and of course you can play lineups with the mosh pit.
Bro.
Lineup incoming.
Last player standing.
Raise low.
One enemy remaining.
Yeah, I sadly lost this 1v4 because I'm boosted, but you get the point. Now let's go to the defender side. As we all know, on the defender side, often you have to play solo to defend the side. Take Lotus for example. Usually you have 2 on A, 2 on B and 1 on C. For Gekko, a big tip I can give you is try to never go solo. Gekko's abilities are very strong in combination with the duelist for example, so try to find a buddy and stay with him. If you ever get into a situation where you're solo on site and the enemies are pushing you, then don't play like a Killjoy or a Cypher, but the best thing you can do is to just take a step back, consider just going off the side and then retake with your teammates.
On spot.
So, now the big question. Is Gekko an easy agent to rank up with? This is what I think. If you're a player that likes to work together with your teammates, then go for Gekko. I think this is the perfect agent for a duo queue or a 3-stack or more. But if you're solo queuing and you're more of an independent player, then pick someone else like a duelist or a sentinel. This is the end of the video. I hope you learned something and I see you guys in the next one. Peace.